Hello and welcome to the Quibber channel. I'm Jason, your host. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I want to talk about something very serious now. In the UK, we have an act that's been put in place called the Domestic Abuse Act 2021. Now, while the intentions behind this act are all well and good, it is gender specific. Yes, it is set up for just women and girls. Oh, they say that if males get abused, but they can use the same framework. But the actual act, in wording and text and form, specifies the female gender. To put it simply, the Act and associated policies emphasise the need for support services and legal measures to protect women and girls from domestic abuse, acknowledging the unique challenges they face in reporting and seeking help. Imagine, just try to imagine what this says to any man who gets sexually abused, any man who gets domestic violence against him, any man that has that happen to him. They say that there is far more women who are affected in this way. But the data is skewed because there has never been campaigns and help and charities for men who are put through it. When I was 19, I was doing my dream job. I didn't know I had autism at the time, but this was a dream job. I was working on a computer project, setting up a computer for who I believed was someone who was the pillar of the community. I mean, this person really was. This person would spend most of his each year, going out to third world countries. He would raise funds, do auctions, and the profits on everything would go towards buying all the basic necessities, and then he would put together a caravan or a truck or something full of these stuff and then take them to a third world country like in a place in Africa and then give them all out. That it was a true pillar of the community. And he hired me freelance to design and plan and create a computer system to automate some of the systems that we wanted to do with a laser printer and everything else. So I was working in a penthouse. Yes, there's penthouse suites in Stoke-on-Trent, funnily enough, there is. Or what there was back then in the 90s. And so I'm working there. I'd been working for like 6 weeks freelance. I was going to get paid at the end of the project. We were coming near the end of the project. Now, I had been working over there sometimes during the night, sometimes during the day. He was away on one of his journeys to Africa. He came back and it was a Saturday. He walked into the living room, having come in there. He had a big screen TV over the other side of the living room. I was working on the computers in the corner and setting everything up. He put some gay porn on the big screen TV. He had one of those big projector TVs with the volume way up. Sat down on the sofa, got his dick out and started masturbating. As a guy, and also as someone who doesn't have societal tendencies in that because of my autistic nature and that broke my brain. This doesn't happen. The guy had been touchy-feely for a while, hugs and stuff like that, but I knew I was weird, that I didn't like hugging, that I didn't like connected in that way, that I was different than people. I didn't know why, didn't know it was autism at the time, but I knew I was different, so I just thingy. But he did that, and so I didn't say anything. My brain was analytical. My brain was saying, don't do anything, don't say anything, because you still haven't been paid. That's what came to my brain. I remember that thought. You've done 6 weeks worth of work for this guy doing this, and you haven't been paid yet. You promised your mum that you were doing a job, that you would come and go with money, and that. Oh God. So I just packed up all my stuff and went to leave. That's when he got up with his dick all erect, followed me out and basically kept trying to hug me and stop me from leaving. The goal of the guy, a week later, I came home from college and he was there asking my mum why I wasn't coming to work for him anymore. As a guy, the entire the world tells us that it's wrong to abuse women, that it's wrong to be the abuser, that we're the guy, we're the person in the role of strength, that if we do something wrong in that. This wasn't the last time. I went to work for a small firm, a carpet firm. Oh, I can't remember. It was near Burslem. I was only there doing a bit of voluntary work as part of my... I wasn't working at the time. I had come out of college. I was using the job centres. Back at the time then, they'd send you out to go and do work for a week at a place to get a bit of experience and stuff. I was working for this beautiful woman. She was beautiful, stunning. In the office, because of my computer's talent, she had wanted me to be updating some computer system. And once again, I got in these situations where I was in. And as I would be working there, and I've only told my mum about this one, she would come up and start touching me. Just on the back of the neck, just on the shoulder and that, just little touches here and there. I was always second guessing myself. I knew I was different. We hadn't done a formal diagnosis of autism and that, but I knew I was different. I knew I didn't connect with people very well in that. But I remember one day where I was just doing some stuff in the office for the, person. And while I had my hands full, she put her hand down the front of my trousers. Now, no matter what the films tell you, no matter what the porn tells you, and no matter what your silly fantasies tell you, this was an extremely uncomfortable thing for me. Because I was 26 before I had a girlfriend. I didn't have any kind of, didn't want to spend time. I had no interest in this person like this. And I remember leaving the office and not telling anybody and not going back. And I got penalised at the job club. Club back then. Because I wouldn't go back then. I wouldn't say why. In stories, in media, in films, in everything, guys are seen as the strong, the ones in charge, the ones who perpetrate this kind of things. But we never see any examples of it being doing to us as guys. Probably one of the reasons that I was 26 before I found someone I wanted to be with. But you try looking for charities for men that have been abused, for men that have been harassed, sexually harassed. You try looking for the advice for men to go to the police. For men, for it to be accepted that men can have this kind of abuse done towards them. And compare that to the massive amount that's available for women. I'm not saying that women don't get it worse, they probably do. But even though it's a minority, men shouldn't feel like they're alienated from this discussion and from this situation. How many people will go online, how many guys after being abused will go online, do a Google search for the Domestic Abuse Act, and read about it being only for naming women and girls, and decide not to report it because they think they'll be laughed out of the police station. It's a self-perpetuating problem. Once again, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have these rules, but we need to acknowledge that domestic abuse is not gender specific. And it isn't politically correct, but at least if a woman is abused, there is massive amount of support out there from the charities, from places for them to go to get away from it. Can you imagine any of these places accepting a guy who's been abused? Can you imagine society accepting that? How many times have you heard in the past of a guy being sexually harassed at work by a female member of staff? How many times have you just thought, yeah, he's getting some? The society's opinion in your own head will be completely different if you switch those genders around. So how hard do you think it is for the person being abused, if they're a guy, to actually report? Because first of all, oh my God, think of the masculinity and all that kind of misogynist bullshit. Think about how fragile that will be if A, you're harassed by another guy, sexually harassed by another guy, or sexually harassed and abused by what is supposed to be the inferior, the weaker gender. It isn't, but the kind of brain space. How can any guy have the courage to report that happening to them? Domestic abuse is horrible no matter who is dealing with it. But having a set of rules in the UK that actively make it seem even more like this can only happen or only happens to women or girls is completely wrong. Oh, it's a great political point. It's good for votes. Domestic abuse is not gender specific. This is Jason for the Queber channel. I hope you're all having a good day.